Hello, this is Adam Bilby presenting Scrumble Beginnings Entertainment Should Challenge. I'm Adam Bilby. I'll be the Scrum Master. Garrett Clement will be one of our product owners and testers. Daniel Rose will be our Git Lord. And Matlock White will be another product owner and tester. So everyone has a role to play. I'll go over our team roles. The Scrum Master will assign tasks for each sprint, track the progress of the project, and turn in all deliverables and documentation. Scrum Master must not naively assume that all members would contribute equally and fairly. Scrum Master is responsible for not letting the whole project crash when a member fails in assigned work. If a member does not make any non-trivial contribution during the sprint, the member must be excluded. In the team progress presentation, the instructor will be emailed with detailed reasons why the member is excluded. If conflicts among team members cannot be resolved, then the instructor will be contacted immediately. The Scrum Master will facilitate the success of the team, remove impediments to the team, radiate information, support the product owners, support the creativity of the team, and be responsible for good communication for the team. The Git Lord is in charge of administrating the GitHub repository. They're the resident expert on how Git and GitHub works. They determine the branching structure for the project. The product owners, they provide creative vision for the project and drive us towards an integrated user experience. They provide acceptance testing for all code except for the code they write, which is tested by another product owner or selected tester. The product owner owns product on behalf of the team, facilitates product decisions, has the final say about the product, and is responsible for creating and maintaining the product backlog. So we have some team norms that we agreed on. Mutual welfare and benefit. Team members should respect one another's ambitions and limitations so that they all gain from this project. Everyone's creative input matters and everyone contributes. Critical thought and communication. Team members will respectfully bring up issues they see at the most immediate time appropriate. Team members will not ignore problems or allow anger or frustration to build up with others. Punctuality. Team members should show up to team meetings on time. On topic. Team members shouldn't bring up off-topic points in meetings. Efficiency of time. Meetings should not go much longer than planned. Team members should not cause meetings to go longer than planned. Trust. Team members will recognize one another as competent developers who deserve to be heard. Mutual aid. Team members will lend their knowledge and advice if it would not interfere with the learning of another team member. So this is our meeting schedule by Google Hangouts. We'll be starting on Mondays with our first sprint at 7:30 p.m. Here we'll assign tasks or child user stories and break down our sprint for the week. If it's appropriate, we'll break off into smaller groups to start planning out design patterns or building any technologies that we need for everybody or share between members. Our next sprint will be Wednesday. We'll talk about our initial progress, and if we need to change plans for some reason, this would be the time to do it, as we could still adjust course at this early in the week. Our next sprint meeting, our stand-up, will be at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, and we'll talk about our progress and challenges. And now is the time to, ask for help if you just need a little bit of help in the last moments, because after this point, it's going to be too late for anyone to help you. On Saturdays, we'll be doing our code freeze. We'll start testing and beginning our presentation. So after that point, we won't be coding any longer. Here's our environment. We'll be using Java 8. We'll be using Jira for project management. We'll be using NetBeans. We'll be using GitHub and Git for version control. We're using Google Drive right now for all of our documents, and we're going to be using YouTube and screen capturing technology for our of their choice for these presentations. So we're going to be performing regression testing. So if a new code breaks an old feature, it may be rejected for the build unless the bug is fixed. If bugs are discovered and they're inconsequential, then it will be assigned the next week to team members to find a fix. So we have our product owners, and they're going to be the ones doing the regression testing. And this means that every user story will be tested for its functionality for each build, and they'll be able to say that something's unacceptable. Both of them had indicated that they are available after 6 p.m., but they work during the day and do classes. So that's their availability, and there's their contact information. So the way we do what we're going to do our planning for the sprints is that we're going to basically everyone's dedicated 20 hours a week to this project, if not more, and we'll look at our highest priority sprints and break them down into child user stories, and we'll try to figure out how much time each one should take, and we'll just kind of keep doling them out until everyone has 20 hours of tasks to complete. So the game we're planning on developing this semester is a side-scrolling ninja game with a working title, Super Ninja. It will be animated with 2D animations. It'll have full-on movement and action mechanics. Player will be able to perform a variety of combat actions such as fast attacks, heavy attacks, dodges, and parries. We're gonna have a variety of enemies. They'll have attack patterns that will, be exploitable by the player. They'll have to learn. It'll be pretty difficult. The player character will die, and if it will be difficult enough, and they'll have to reload the level. They'll have save games that they'll want to keep, so they can get back to that. We'll have 3 stages, and they'll be increasing in difficulty, and we're gonna have sound effects and music with that too. So it's gonna be a fully featured side-scrolling action game. So this is Adam Bilby presenting once again. So as a player, I want a menu screen that provides me with options so that I can have control over how the game begins. So you can see we're going to have a menu, and this implies that we're going to have settings, we're going to have a load game, we're going to have a new game. As a player, I want to be able to save my progress in the game so that I may return to that point later. And so this is one example, kind of user journey here where we're selecting through a user interface, and we're overwriting a save by double clicking on it. As a player, I want to proceed through several discrete levels with increase in difficulty, so they may feel a sense of progress. So the way that this experience will be broken down is that we'll start with a stage 1, which is kind of a learning stage. It's not too difficult. A lot of things are implied for you, so that the patterns, almost by accident, you can successfully complete them. Stage 2 will change those patterns so that you have to apply what you learned in the first stage, and then it will begin to teach you more difficult mechanics as well. And at the third stage, we're going to test all your knowledge and not give you very much help at all, so that you can actually prove your mastery over the mechanics. As a player, I want to navigate terrain so that I feel challenged by and immersed in the game world. So as you can see here, we want to have certain things like platforming, where you jump over things, jump over obstacles and traps, and have to run across the level rapidly. So once you start putting enemies in there, it's not just a matter of performing the right combinations on the enemy, but navigating the world as well. So as a player, I want to hear music while I play so that I can have a better sense of immersion. And so we're going to have to, get a few different music tracks that play during certain situations. So if we have 3 stages, we want to encourage the mood for the individual stage, whether it's based off the aesthetic or how we want them to feel as far as learning goes. So a boss encounter may have music that fits the boss character, whereas, stage 2, because of its how it's a combination of learning and testing, will be different than stage 1, which is just about learning and may have a more down-tempo beat. As a player, I want to hear sound effects when events happen in the game so that I have a better sense of immersion. So will have jump effects when you're jumping and landing when you're landing, and this can be expanded to a great variety of things that can happen in the game.
Hello, my name is Garrett Clement, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about some of the game mechanics we would like to add to our game. The first epic user story. As a player, I want to be able to do combos so that I can kill my enemy. We want to add a very nice combo system to the game so the player doesn't just get bored of attacking using 1 or 2 attacks over and over. We want to be able to chain them together so when the player pulls off a cool combo, he feels achieved. The next epic user story. As a player, I want to be able to do aerial attacks so that I can kill my enemies from the sky. So we also don't want to ground the player to level that he's fighting on, but we want him to be able to jump and kill enemies from above, so he actually feels like a ninja. The next epic user story. As a player, I want to be able to jump, dodge, parry, and crouch so that I can evade my enemy's attacks. So we also want to focus on a lot of high mobility for our main player since he is a ninja. We want him to be able to jump around, dodge, and of course crouch to dodge arrows. The last epic user story. As a player, I want to be able to fight multiple kinds of enemies so I do not get bored. We want to also add a variety of enemies in there because if you play a game with one enemy in it, it gets really, really monotonous.
Hello, my name is Daniel Rose. I'd like to present some epic user stories that have to do with graphics, which is the area of the game that I have been doing my work on. So let's get right into it. So our first epic user story is, as Nin, I want an idle animation so that I don't appear as a static image when I'm not receiving commands from the player. So we've got some pretty cool concept art here from Matlock that of the basic premise for such an idle animation. I know the images look pretty similar, but if you notice, the one in the middle's knees are bent a little, so if you could imagine if they were played in succession, it kind of looked like he was maybe breathing or bending up and down a little. The idea is that you just want to give some variety to the image so that when the character is not moving around, you can still tell that the game isn't frozen, and it gives a lot more life to the world. It makes it feel more alive, and you can even do some fun, entertaining things on this with, like, if you leave the character idle for a long amount of time, they'll, twiddle their thumbs or kick the dirt or do something to show that they're just kind of bored, like, hey, waiting for the player to move on. So this is one of the lowest hanging fruit for animations and graphics because there's no movement and it's going to be happening all the time. So that's why I thought I would start out as a good first start. But eventually, you are going to want to move. So second user story here is that as Nin, I want to have movement animations so that my model appears to be running and jumping as the player uses movement controls. Some more great concept art from Matlock here. You can see running along the top and a little, maybe more of a sprint on the bottom, maybe a little bit of a jump there. But we want to have some really cool animations to make so that you can see whenever the character is moving, jumping straight up, jumping left, jumping right, because that's important to know that it can be important for the player too to know that they've pushed the right button, that they see the right animation, that the character is moving in the right way. And this is nice because another nice thing about this is it can be done in parallel because I can just use working concept frames and we can change them out later and the core implementation underneath and the code can stay the same. So the next one here is about attacks. So as Nin, I want to have animation for attacks so that my model appears to be attacking when the player hits the attack button. Got to kill the enemies, so here's some more cool concept art from Matlock, and having different animation attacks is a big part of what makes the game fun. Like, oh, it looks really cool when you attack. That I think it's going to be an important part of getting it right, and it's also helpful to make the game playable because you got to see where the attacks are going to sort of know where their hit zone is to tell if you're going to be able to hit the enemy. Without clear animations, sometimes it can be hard to even use your attacks properly. And then the final, had animation there. I didn't realize they even had that animation there. So, in the final epic user story we have here is that as Nin, I want animations for certain game mechanics, such as using a health pack or taking damage so that the user can tell when a certain mechanic has occurred. So I don't have a lot of concept art here yet, but you can see some cool emotions that Matlock has drawn up for us. So this could be important when different events happen and can help also convey the state that's going on to the player so they sort of know the character is experiencing certain emotions. But also just some really basic ones that you need are like whenever your character dies, he needs to fall over or picks up a health pack. So those sorts of things are, I think, sort of like a minimum viable product when it comes to graphics and animations. There's a lot more animations that we can do, and this can branch off a lot. But for the first sprint, I thought these would just be a good start for basic animations so that we could just have Nin, our ninja, start to come to life on the screen. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Matlock White, and today I'm going to be walking you through the different epic user stories for the enemy archetypes. Alright, now as an enemy AI, we want to have different archetypes using either ranged, melee, or sneak attacks. Now the melee and ranged attack archetypes are going to focus on full frontal assaults, where the melee is going to try to charge in as soon as possible, and the range is going to try to put as much distance between the player and the enemy as much as possible. Now the third archetype, our stealth archetype, will actually attack from the player from the rear and will wait to the opportune moment to strike the player. The stealth archetype is designed to be used and played off of the other archetypes. However, in the event that there is no other archetype available, then the stealth archetype should switch from trying to attack from the behind and then to attacking from the front. Our fourth archetype will be the boss archetype, who will be present at the end of each one of the various levels. Now, as an enemy, we want to have different combos based on the different archetypes. For melee, a combination of light and heavy attacks, ranged, evasive and aerial attacks, and stealth with evasion and quick dashes. Now, all these archetypes are going to have their own special ability, like melee grabs to keep the player as close as possible, ranged root attacks, and stealth heavy knockbacks to put some distance between the player and the enemy. And as an enemy, we want there to be a whole bunch of different kill animations also based on the varying archetypes. We have here a couple of quick sketches put together to show what the kill animations to the player would look like. And then finally, as an enemy archetype, we want to be able to ambush the player. And this will be triggered once the player reaches a certain position along the whole entire grid of the map. Once that player reaches the position, whole bunch of different enemies of varying archetypes are going to pop out from several different places to attack the player all at once. The idea behind this is to keep it fresh and entertaining, so that way the player doesn't actually get bored while playing the game. Thank you very much.